Hey, hope you're all doing well in this current situation. I just want to share a couple more points to add to the message that I shared in She, and it was all about daring love, wasn't it? She who dares wins. And we looked at the story of Esther and how she went from being an orphan girl to becoming a queen. She got the attention of the king because of her beauty, and she was there for such a time as this, where she had the opportunity to not be silent, but she used her voice to rescue her people because she loved them so much. And she was daring in that, where she took a risk that risked everything. It risked her life, and yet she was daring to step out and rescue her people. And it started making me think, about, we talked about love in that message. How does that look for us today? We're in this lockdown situation, we're shut in our four walls. But daring love speaks to me of something that is going to cost you, maybe. It's something more risky, isn't it? It's because it says, it's easy to love people when you know that love is going to be reciprocated. And when, it's easy to love someone when you know that they're going to love you back, like your family or your parents or your friends. But it really comes into play, daring love really comes into play when it's tough love. And actually in the Bible, God speaks to us and says, we should actually love our enemies. I mean, that isn't easy, is it? So I think that is daring love, though, isn't it? It's going beyond just loving those who are going to love us back. It takes risk, it takes boldness, it takes courage. And it made me think of, I guess we've all had time to reflect over these days, and even thinking back to my past and thinking about different relationships. And sometimes, there's relationships that we've been hurt in, and we've been hurt by people. And, wouldn't it be amazing if in this time we could choose, maybe we've held on to that for a long time. Maybe it's time to let that go and to choose to forgive. It's not saying that it was okay what that person did to you, but maybe in this time, wouldn't it be amazing if we come out of this lockdown, this time where we're in our four walls, and yet we could be freer than ever if we just choose to forgive and let that person go and let God deal with it. Because if we keep trying to deal with it and carrying that, we're just going to become embittered. So that, for me, I think that takes courage and boldness. That is something that's going to cost you, but it's worth it. And, to see you become so free would be amazing. And the other thing I thought of was about, sometimes we get rejected in life, don't we, by people. And I remember a time in my life where I had to pursue someone, and I was persistent in it. And I was like, I'd shared the gospel with them before, but they weren't interested. And yet I wasn't going to give up on them. And I think that's also what daring love is. It's something that costs you your reputation, or maybe being rejected by that person. But I would encourage you to be daring. And I remember a time in my life where I put this into action, and I invited this person to make a decision to become a Christian. And they had in the past always said, no, it's not for me, or I'm a heathen, or whatever. And anyway, this particular day, I was like, well, I can't keep leaving this to anyone else. Time was running out. And I said, look, why don't you just ask God into your life? Why don't you just pray that prayer of salvation? And I thought, well, he can either say yes or he can say no. And he said yes. And it was amazing, because it was actually my dad. And sometimes family are the hardest, aren't they, to reach? And he was at the beginning of Alzheimer's, and I knew that I was running out of time. So I put it to him, and I was like, I was fearful, a little bit fearful of being rejected again, and that he wouldn't want what was being offered to him. But he put his hands together and he prayed that prayer of salvation, and the tears were rolling down his face. I've never really ever seen my dad cry. And so I knew in that moment it was so real and it was so powerful. And I'm so glad that God used me to step out in that way of being daring, and that risk of being, rejected in a way. And yet he said yes that day, and it made all the difference. And yeah, I just want to encourage you. Maybe there's someone, daring love sometimes is being persistent and to keep trying with a certain person that you do love and you don't want to give up on them. So I would encourage you, maybe you're the very one to be that voice. And even this time, you know, people are receptive more than ever, I believe. And so just keep praying for them, keep believing, and step out and dare. I dare you, because she who dares wins. So I just want to share those couple of things. And, you know, I'm praying for you. I pray that you keep safe in this time, and let's come out of this season stronger and freer than ever before. Thank you for listening.